I don't reckon Wilder.
Do you want to
cracks.
bet then?
I don't need
I'll
to
bet you £50,000.
I don't like to bet. I don't like to bet.
I'll bet you 50 grand, 100 grand.
Well,
I'm not bothered. I'm a man of my
It's not
word.
about betting. This is about my opinion.
And I have yet to hear a single foreign fan on this planet that thought Wilder won the fight. Only a handful of American fans thought Wilder won the fight.
Let me tell you, a fast horse is easily trained. Always remember that. If you've got a red rum in your stable, you don't need to be much of a jockey to make it get over that line.
We're looking ahead to the big fight on BT Sport Box Office. It's Wilder against Fury. And what a lineup I've got with me here today to look ahead. I think as good a place to start as any would be to consider the impact this fight's going to have, both in the States. Paulie, you were a commentator there last time, and over here, Steve. Steve, how big do you think this fight is?
Both these guys are undefeated, remember. One of them is the lineal heavyweight champion, in the sense that he won the world heavyweight title in the ring against great odds in front of 50,000 hostile fans, and he's never lost it in the ring. And the other guy won it in the ring, no problem, a version of it, and just keeps knocking people out. So they both got these incredible claims. So they're both unbeaten, and it's a rematch. That's a set of circumstances that's never, ever happened before at any weight.
So, Paulie, how's it resonating in the United States?
There's still a curiosity about Deontay Wilder. You know, the conversation is about is he the hardest puncher in heavyweight history? You know, and a lot of American fans are now starting to kind of gravitate towards him and noticing the highlight reel knockouts and the things that he can do in the ring. And obviously, Fury has made a name for himself with some of the wins in his career. And of course, the first fight left a lot of curiosity to be wondering what could happen in a rematch.
I mean, I came away from that first fight with a sort of a jaw-dropped wow after that last round.
The thing that struck me was the boxing ability of Tyson Fury. The fact that he could negate someone who's very fast, agile, and I know has got ridiculous punch power. The way that he was able to stay calm and relax up against the ropes and basically bamboozle Wilder for the majority of the fight. And I think the second time round, we're going to see a very, very different fight.
A different fight? Are we going to see a different fight from Tyson, John?
Only because he's forced to. Because he got a bad decision last time. 10-2, and he got a draw. So he knows this time he's got to do something different. But this time, Wilder's facing somewhat different. In a man at his weight, he's stabilised at the weight, he's strong at the weight, and he wants it more than anything in the world. And Wilder now, he's not getting any better. He's edging 35 years old, he's on a decline. Tyson's 31, getting better, and Tyson's fought better people.
John, do you not think Wilder can be better? Do you not think that what you saw there and what you've seen this year, nothing's convinced you that Wilder can be a better fighter than we saw in Los Angeles?
No, not at all. In his last fight against Ortiz, I just thought he was taking his time. Obviously, he was waiting for the big punch. He had a game plan. It worked for him. But that kind of stuff, if he fights like that with Tyson, he get beat outside. Do
you think Wilder can be a better fighter second time round?
I really, truly do.
How do you think that, though, David?
I think that because the first time round when they thought, I didn't believe Wilder had any type of game plan. I think he just wanted to go out there. He believed that all he had to do was hit him on the chin. And it was very difficult to do that on your best day against Tyson. But when you go out there with no respect, he had no respect for Tyson.
Let me tell you something. I'm not jumping on what you're saying, but if they thought that Tyson had any chance at all of winning that fight, they wouldn't have been fighting him. They wanted to cherry-pick Tyson when Tyson was at his worst, and he still couldn't do any good.
Before he was ready, before he lost the weight.
God knows he weren't even ready.
Yeah, can we all agree that he needed one more fight before Wilder? In an ideal world, one or two more fights.
Listen.
So the Tyson we saw in there that night, he shouldn't have even been there. He should have been fighting Wilder in about September of last year, is what can we kind of agree on that?
They cherry-picked him, and that wasn't good enough because they underestimated what fire Tyson's got in his belly. You could saw his leg off with a saw and he'd still fight. All the time Tyson's breathing and he's able to throw and he's in his senses, he'll get up and fight. And that's what a lot of other heavyweights ain't got.
Paulie, you've watched it and you've analysed it, and David's, I'm sure, got a view on this as well. You're talking about how Deontay Wilder can improve. If you were in that corner, how would you make him better second time round?
I felt like it was a frustrated Wilder. I felt like it was a bit of a confused Wilder in the ring, and I was looking for some adjustments that I never saw, neither from Wilder nor from the corner instructions. So it'll be interesting to see when they go back to the gym and prepare for this rematch, if those certain adjustments will be discussed, or even if they know what they are, you know? But one thing about Fury that I think you can't overlook, he tends to fight at the level of his opposition. So he tends to kind of look average And then all of a sudden, you put him in with a monster, and he looks like a monster himself.
Surely this time round, we see a better Wilder. Surely we do.
Which is, I guess, is what you're saying, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't think Wilder going into that fight thought it was going to be the fight of his life. He didn't think he'd need to struggle and, you know, get wobbled a couple of times. He got hit heavy with some big right hands from Fury throughout that fight. I don't think he expected that type of fight. I don't think physically he was ready for the fight he was in. I don't think mentally, he thought it was just another knockout on his record. And once he found himself in a fight in round 5 and 6, he'd already emptied the tank in the early rounds trying to get him out of there. So he didn't pace himself like he did against Ortiz and just wait for the right shots. By the time he realised he was in a real fight, he wasn't the Wilder that he could have been. So
because the corner made a big mistake. They thought Tyson would tire after 4 or 5.
They banked on it.
They banked on it.
But they didn't know what Tyson had inside of him. And like you said earlier, he went right hand happy, thinking he was going to get it. He thought, he can't keep this up. He's just lost 10 stone. He's been out of action. He's been out 3 years. The statistics say he can't keep it up, but he could. Even on half mass, he kept it up and he beat him out of sight.
So is that a good thing then, or a bad thing as we go into the rematch? Because now they know it can go 12.
No, I'll tell you what it is now. On that day, you've seen the best Deontay Wilder could be. Because I'll tell you now, you know when he weighs in up down to 16 stone 2 or 3? Yeah. That's not good for him. A 15 stone man is more dangerous than a man 18 or 19 stone. He can hit as hard as a man 20 stone and he's got more agility and speed. And I believe when Wilder puts a weight on, he hasn't got these. And he's seen it in the Luis Ortiz fight. He weighed in heavier, he was slow and just waiting for the power shot. But that will not beat Tyson. And believe me, Deontay Wilder and little skinny legs, he's going to know he's on him after 6 or 7 rounds. And I will put any money now that Tyson does what he says he's going to do. It could be over early on, but there's going to be a knockout, a Tyson Fury knockout.
Deontay has been interviewed and has said, messing about with wrestling, changing a trainer, etc., not good. And it suggests that mentally, Tyson might not be as strong as people are building him up to be.
It's not ideal. You know, I definitely would have been more confident in Tyson Fury's chances if Ben was still on. Ben Davison was still on his team. You know, Ben obviously showed he had a good rapport with him. He got him into shape. He got him mentally in the right place. You know, going for the 2 comeback fights and the fight against Deontay Wilder. The first fight was a masterclass. So he needs another masterclass. You know, he can't. The performance he put forth in the first fight, I don't believe will be good enough in this second fight. I believe the second fight, he needs to raise his game because Wilder is going to adjust. You know, if Fury comes out and does the same thing again,
What adjustments do you see Wilder making?
Calming it down, looking for his punches, setting his punches up, more feints, get his feet set, not try to load up. At least set your punches up. Don't try and load up with the biggest shot from the first round. Pick it. Take your time, jab to the body, jab to the face.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
He hasn't got the ability to do
You're making him fight like David Haye.
No. Wilder can jab. I've done enough rounds with Wilder to know how effective his jab is. He can box.
No,
he hasn't showed his
he lives
boxing
and dies
ability
with
in
the
fights.
jab to me.
I know, but he hasn't really shown his boxing ability in the ring. He shows his power. Once he has someone's hurt, he just goes hell for leather, and whatever happens, and people end up knocked out. But he can box. He's got a great jab. His head works good. His feet are good. When he's switched onto boxing zone, he's a very, very tough boxer to get to.
I think people give him too much stick for being wild. I think he actually only gets wild once he really has to hurt. Or once he's panicking.
But in the first fight, he didn't. He got wild before. Remember?
There was moments where Tyson was against the ropes and he was trying to unload some shots, of course.
Wilder, I always used to say that. Everyone used to say he's too wild. I'd say, okay, only when he's got his man hurt.
Yeah, because
but
he's pretty calculated.
He got wild with Tyson before he was hurt. And that's, I believe, was the difference. That's why it all unravelled for him and it just didn't work, because he turned his finisher off before someone was ready to finish off.
I'll tell you why it never worked, because he went into shock, Wilder. When he knew Tyson was in front of him, he went into shock.
John, A, when he was in front of him, but B, and I was really close to this, as were you, John Boy, Tyson got him in the week. He got him when we had the press conference in this building here in East London, and he got him in the week. And you could see Wilder's mind going, I've never had this before. Now, people might say, no, Bunce, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter until it does matter. Going into that, just like he got Vladimir in Dusseldorf. You remember when Big Vlad couldn't look at him, John? Couldn't look him in the eye? And we knew then, and we were celebrating in the hotel Thursday, Friday night, because we knew he'd broken Big Vlad long before the first bell.
He still broke him.
Well, it's exactly.
Even though he's not there.
But it was the same thing with Wilder during
He won't
that
even have,
week.
he won't
and
even have
it
a press
didn't
conference
change
with
it-
him, will he?
didn't
He
change
won't
it in
even
the
turn
first
to a press
round.
conference in case he gets... How vulnerable are they though when they can't go and face a man face
John,
to face?
but John,
You know, in case it puts them off the game plan.
saying
It's ridiculous.
saying that, and I'm going to upset
Real
you.
fighting man ain't like that.
John, I still think, and I'm with David on this one, I still think we'll see a much better Wilder.
How
I
can
still
you?
think we'll see a much
What
better
can he do
Wilder.
different then? You
He,
can't
he
teach
can
all
jab, he
tricks.
can jab, he
Can
can
he?
listen
I
to
don't
his
think-
corner, he can move his feet better, he
He
can
can
cut
jab
the corner
against
down,
stationary, can't he?
and he won't throw that wild, crazy right
Oh,
hand.
he will, because that's his.
I don't think he
that's
will
his
this time,
template.
John.
That crazy right arm, take that away from him. He can't fight.
Here's where I give Wilder credit. He doesn't lose his self-belief. People saying, oh, even here we're saying, oh, he didn't expect Fury to do this or that or that. But one thing you got to give Wilder credit for in the fight is things weren't going his way, and he never stopped believing. All the way up until round 12, he's throwing hurtful shots. That means the mentality was the winning mentality in his mind all throughout the fight, regardless of where he was in the fight, regardless of the frustration. So to me, that shows a mentally strong fighter.
What extent now is Tyson actually relying and changing his style to a degree to rely more on power?
Every time I speak to Tyson, he's much more happy. All he says to me, I'm hitting 100% harder. I'm focused more. I'm not off balance like I was before. I said I couldn't get the power shots going, but now I can get the power shots going and plenty of them.
Is it a danger, though, to sort of Tyson not to be using
If
his strength, which is his mobility?
If Tyson puts on a stone and a bit and goes there trying to knock him out, I think it's a dangerous tactic. It's crazy.
There's a way to knock him out, and he's not going to run in with his chin in the air and go for a big punch.
I've rarely seen Tyson apply those tactics in fights. Normally softens you up, breaks you up, gets you frustrated, makes you miss and counters you. That's how I've seen his success. So if he's going to change his style for the first time against Deontay Wilder, I'm just saying it's a risky strategy.
I just don't think he can deal with a 19-stone man, Wilder. And the first man to fight him any good was Tyson. He beat him on half-mast, so he shouldn't even have been in the ring with him. He's not a great... And if he can punch that hard, how did Tyson get up in the 12th round? Nobody gets up in the 12th round when they're all out, gassed out, finished. He had nothing left in him. He gets up. If he was such a banger, you don't get up, especially in the 12th round. And I can tell you that. So I'm quite confident his power ain't like it should be. And what greats has he fought? He never fought you, did he?
No.
Did he? And he's never fought anybody like him. He's never fought Steve Cunningham. He's never fought anybody of any remote, like, championship material. What's been proven and tested. They've all been handpicked.
Do you think he'd be making a mistake to stand in front of him, trying to rely more on power and looking...
Maybe he's going to be aggressive. Maybe he's not. You know,
He's aggressive as he wants.
And the same thing with Wilder, to tell you the truth. You know, Wilder's talking a big game. Fury's talking a big game. Obviously, they're both very confident. It's clear that they're having good training camps. But I think to say what kind of fight we're going to see now, things could change between now and February 22nd.
I'll tell you what's going to happen. He's going to get bullied to death and stopped in about 8 or 9 rounds.
But I will say, can Deontay fight going backwards?
No.
Can Deontay fight on the back foot?
No way. He hasn't got the body strength.
A lot of his knockouts have come once his opponents throw. Strangely, he's a counter puncher.
He's a counter puncher with the right hand.
Exactly.
Is he going backwards a lot of times, or is he
No,
set
you
when he's
watch all
throwing
the
that
fights.
around?
He doesn't go backwards.
As they come in, so he doubles the impact of his shot.
But not moving, not working, going
But he's not
backwards.
going back. What I'm saying is, usually a guy with a good jab can fight going backwards. Deontay...
Has he needed to fight going backwards yet?
Good point.
That reinforces Big John's point.
He
Exactly.
fought
Ortiz going backwards, but there was no jab there. What I'm saying is, I think he can fight going backwards against a certain level of opponent, but if you put a jab in his face, Deontay has a good jab, but we saw in the first fight that if you can negate his jab, his ability to create offense diminishes.
If Tyson Fury is the weight that you want him to be, that Wilder's punch power isn't enough to knock him out.
I don't think this fight is being scored
He's fighting
that
a
way.
different man this time.
If Tyson has a team
he's
behind
fighting a man
him.
what's won the title legitimately, beat Vladimir Klitschko. And look, he had plenty left, because look what he done to Joshua. He beat Joshua to death.
David,
I think that's crazy to think that you don't believe Wilder landing his perfect shot.
Yeah, but listen, I can answer that in one for you. Tyson smashed him to pieces and makes him quit and cry.
Does Tyson believe what you believe that?
100%, and more
Wilder,
again.
So he believes he's going into a fight with Deontay Wilder in a 12-round fight, and he can't be hurt by Wilder.
Oh, he knows he can be hurt, but the thing
But
is...
not hurt enough to be knocked out.
No,
God,
because I'll tell you what it is
crazy,
now.
That's crazy.
How is it crazy when he couldn't beat him when he was Well, he had nothing in him at all.
By
His
the
body
time
was
he- by
like
the-
wet tissue paper.
Guys, why are we even having this debate? These
No,
are
I just
two
realised
world-class
it was
fighters that will
ridiculous.
make adjustments during the fight anyway.
One's a great
This is-
fighter in the making and one's a good fighter.
Both,
That's it.
both guys are going to probably have to adjust.
Paulie, I've been up close and personal to Deontay Wilder. I seen something in his eyes, and I've been as close to him as I am to you. And I seen what I seen in him, and my son's got too much from him in the department.
Was that after the last fight,
to
John?
these down-
Was that after the last fight, John?
No, it was in Ireland. It was in Ireland, I seen him.
When it comes,
I come right close to him, and I thought, you know what?
sense it.
You can't beat my son with a hammer in each hand, and he's got hammers in each hand. But I tell you what, he's never.
John, when you go to sleep at night, isn't there just a little bit of doubt in your head that Wilder could improve?
No, because he's 35-year-old.
Where does this fight stand then in the sort of heavyweight history, potentially?
This is the biggest
rivalry.
fight of our era, my era. This is the one where
Absolutely.
two fighters have been, you know, arguably the best and both undefeated. They both got massive records, big names, and they've had a great entertaining fight first time around, bit of controversy, so they're doing it again. So they both know exactly what they're doing with. This is our generation's big one. This is the Tyson Lennox. But in their primes. Imagine if the Lennox Tyson happened 6 years
prime.
before.
Wow.
Exactly.
And that's
before
why
they
you got to
both lost.
commend these two men.
Yeah.
this is the fight boxing needs, and it's the biggest fight you can make in boxing right now. And so that's why it's commendable that they're doing it again.
The time between now and the fight, the psychological games, the press conferences, the public appearances, how important are they now? What sort of an edge can be drawn?
I think they're both so experienced. I'm not sure if there's too much could be said. Banter between the two of them. I'm going to do this, I'm going to knock you out, I'm going to walk you down. I don't think anything that they can say to each other will affect their preparation and mindset. I think maybe Tyson may have got into Wilder's head first time round and forced him to come out gunslinging like he wanted him to, which would play into Fury's game. I think this time round, no matter what Fury says to Wilder and vice versa, it will have that much of an effect.
You know how you know you're going to see a great fight?
Go on, John.
And I'm experienced in this field and seeing great fights in the ring and out the ring. How calm they are to each other. Nobody's slagging each
That
other
last
off this
press
time.
conference when they were sitting down opposite
Honestly,
each other,
that's
just chatting.
dangerous. That's
That was
dangerous
scary,
body
wasn't it?
language.
Yeah.
That these two men knowing, they both know that they're going to put their lives on the
pushing,
line.
no shouting,
They
no
think
shoving.
we haven't got to shout about it. We haven't got to do this. We haven't got to do that. The first time they met, it was a one-horse race, so they thought. But you know, this time they've got mutual respect for one another, and they know they're going to throw down and give the best. And you know that by how calm they are. You've heard the saying, calm before the storm.
This is it.
This is it. I do expect fight week, some fight week fireworks. But I think you've got to be careful if you're Wilder, not to let it get in your head, and if you're Fury, not to do so much of it that you forget about your own game plan,
Blame
you know?
yourself,
Yeah, of course.
A man, when he's pressured and he's in a hard time, he'll crack at the seams, and once he cracks, the crack will spread from here to Manchester and back, and it's over.
I don't reckon Wilder.
Do you want to bet
cracks.
then?
I
I'll bet you £50,000.
I don't like to bet. I don't like to bet.
I'll bet you
I'm saying-
50 grand, 100 grand.
Well, it's
I'm
not
not
about-
bothered.
it's
I'm a
not
man of
about-
my
It's not about
word.
betting. This is about my opinion. My
Your
opinion
opinion's
is
good, yeah.
Wilder won't crack.
Well, I
He's
know
not
you're
a
fan
cracking
of
type of
Wilder,
guy.
we can see that, but
No,
at
no,
the
no.
end of it,
It's
that's good.
about.
That's all good.
It's about.
You tell
I've
me-
never seen any.
Okay.
I've never seen anything in the ring when he's fought. I've never seen anything personality-wise. I've never seen anything sparring that suggests he cracks under pressure.
Listen,
Until I see a man crack,
'cause he's
I
not
give
fought
everyone the
nobody.
benefit of the doubt.
He hasn't fought anybody. Put him under pressure.
Tyson Fury proved he didn't crack last time out.
You know, Tyson, let me tell you, you know Lennox Lewis, Mike Tyson, Evander Holyfield, Riddick Bowe, they'd have done my son a year ago in 2 rounds. You know what I'm saying? I'm saying it because he shouldn't have been in there. His body, you could put your finger in it, that fight was like a lot of tissue paper, all little saggy skin like a blowed up balloon. I was in better shape.
Because
at
he'd lost
50 years
all that
old.
weight and he
He'd
hadn't
lost 10
trained at the
stone.
weight, yeah,
He was as
okay.
weak as a kitten, but his self-belief, he said, my self-belief and my determination enough to beat him. It's because I know he ain't got it. But listen, I'll be the first one to come and say, David, I'm wrong. Steve, I'm wrong. Paul, I'm wrong. John, I'm wrong. But I know this time what my son's capable of doing.
There's no give in these guys. You know, they're two fighters that have not only have a great amount of ability, but have a great amount of pride in their work and a great amount of pride in what they do.
This is about 50-50 fights. You know about 50-50 fights. When you fought Derek Chisora the first time, both of you was fresh. When you won in the 5th round. That was a 50-50 fight. Has Wilder had anything like that? No. We've not seen him in a 50-50, so you can't
If he wasn't as good as he is, you would have seen him in lots of 50-50 fights.
Remains
I'm saying if Deontay Wilder wasn't as good as he was, and he didn't have the punch power that he has,
He's
you
got
would have
a-
seen him in a
he's
lot
got a
more
bit of
entertaining
power.
fights. But his punch power is so powerful that it never gets to the point where it becomes exciting because he just knocks you struck
I
out
just
when you're
haven't
fresh.
seen him fight.
Because he punches so hard, you might never get to see that.
Oh,
Is he the hardest you've been hit?
Yeah, by a long, with head guard by a long shot from the first right
But he's a
hand.
cruiserweight. He boxed at 13 stone. He's bound to be a big banger.
No, I've been hit by lots of people, and significantly, I felt the difference between his punch. I remember the first right hand, I kind of blocked the right hand here, and it hit me on top of the head here, and I remember just thinking, this guy can really punch. So at that point, I had to really switch on like it was a fight. I just hope and pray that Tyson Fury doesn't just hope that Wilder just quits after
Fury's
6-7 rounds.
We've had too hard a life.
I just hope
Fury's
he doesn't
don't
think.
nothing.
But you're saying that you've seen it in his eyes that he's going to quit.
I know
you can
what
see
he'll
he's
do.
got break. I just hope he's not banking on him quitting.
No, he's not banking on it.
Okay, good, because it'd be a very dangerous thing to hope someone gives up after a while.
I've never told Tyson about this.
He's going to watch this.
Let me tell you, Tyson knows himself. Tyson knows himself what he'll do.
Who wins, Paulie?
The guy that can adjust better may ultimately come out to be the guy who comes out on top in the fight. And I don't know that Wilder can make those adjustments. We'll see.
David, who wins?
This time round, I think both fighters are going to come back better. I think Fury boxed brilliantly first time round. I think that was him with Ben in his corner, you know, with a great game plan. He doesn't have Ben in the corner this time. His last fight, he got a couple of horrendous cuts over his eye. That could open up again. Over a couple of jabs, that could open those cuts up again, which would mean he'd have the same fight with one eye. Trying to beat Deontay Wilder with two eyes is tough enough, let alone one eye with those big looping shots. The fact that I'm hearing he's putting on additional weight to be heavier, which may in turn slow his mobility down, his speed and reflexes down. I have to go with Deontay Wilder by stoppage in this fight.
Steve, what do you reckon?
I think the first time round, I fancied Tyson big. Bizarrely, I fancy Tyson less big this time, but I still fancy Tyson.
Deontay Wilder's team could not adjust in that fight. Am I correct in saying that?
I agree 100%.
Absolutely.
What's the guy in the corner leading the corner like? I don't know him. What's he like?
Listen.
If you say that if you say Wilder's team throws, how do we know this new guy isn't going to work?
Leading the ship now with Tyson. You got this sugar who Tyson spoke to me. I said, look, what do we know about this guy? He said, Dad, I've worked with him. He's a good man. He's educational. He knows I would not be going there.
I'd prefer to have Ben in the corner. Someone he's heard of.
Ben's a great kid, but he was a PTI instructor 12 months ago.
Everybody starts. Adam was a PTI before he's worked with me.
Let me tell you,
you start somewhere.
I know the kid. You can't expect a boy to do a man's job. He done a great job, but he was only a companion for Tyson. Tyson did all that himself with the help of a little bit of companionship and telling him, somebody doing that, go on, you can do another mile, Tyson. Don't eat this, don't eat that.
That's the difference between winning and losing.
But when it comes to using them, technique and knowledge, I've seen a lot of flaws in his work. Am I right here, Steve, what I'm saying?
Do you think Sugar Hill is better than Ben in
More experience, 100%. Ben was that clever. Why did he allow him to go and box Deontay Wilder? And I said no.
Because he was good enough to win the fight.
But
clearly.
he wasn't.
He did. He won the fight in your eyes. He won the fight.
But at the end
so
of
that
the day,
was the right thing
if
too.
the fight would have been now, we wouldn't be having this rematch.
I'm saying, but if you'd had fair judges, Ben would have picked him to fight Wilder at a time where you might have thought he wasn't ready, but he was ready because, in your opinion, he won the fight. So it was the right move.
Let me tell you, a fast horse is easily trained. Always remember that. If you've got a red rum in your stable, you don't need to be much of a jockey to make it get over that line. And that's what I say about that. And I'll tell you now, Tyson will beat him in every department. Whatever tricks they want to do, whatever skullduggery they want to do, there's only one winner. The Beast, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
Right, that's where we will leave it for now. I certainly hope that's whetted your appetite. February the 22nd, BT Sport box office. It's Wilder against Fury. I can't wait. For goodness sake, don't miss it.